Greetings, thinkers. Welcome to Man of Thoughts. Today, we're going to delve into the world of manipulation. Manipulation, a term that's as intriguing as it is unsettling, lurks in the corners of our everyday interactions. It's the invisible hand that nudges us, often without our knowledge, shaping our decisions, our actions, and sometimes our very lives. It's a tool wielded by the cunning, the deceitful, and sometimes by those closest to us. The effects? They can range from subtle shifts in behavior to profound changes in our perception of reality. But fear not, for knowledge is power. By understanding the tricks of the manipulative trade, we can identify these ploys, avoid their traps, and shield ourselves from their influence. So arm yourselves with awareness. For today, we're going to illuminate the shadowy tactics of manipulation. So, without further ado, let's expose the 6 sneaky manipulation tricks most people discover too late. Starting with the first trick, gaslighting. Now, gaslighting is a particularly devious form of manipulation, where the manipulator deliberately attempts to make their victim question their own perception of reality. It's like a mind game, a psychological warfare where the truth is twisted, facts are distorted, and doubts are sown. Imagine this. You're certain you've placed your keys on the table, but someone insists they've seen you put them in your bag. They're so convincing that you start doubting your own memory. That's a basic example of gaslighting, but it goes deeper than misplaced keys. Gaslighting can be used to control and undermine a person's sense of reality on a much larger scale, making them question their memories, their judgments, even their sanity. It's a powerful tool in the manipulator's arsenal, and it's often used subtly, making it even more dangerous. Recognizing gaslighting is the first step to combat it. Moving on to the second trick, guilt tripping. Now, let's unpack this. Guilt tripping is a common manipulation tactic where someone makes you feel guilty to get their way. It's essentially emotional blackmail, designed to make you feel like you've done something wrong, even if you haven't. Here's a typical instance. Imagine you're planning a weekend getaway, but a friend drops a comment like, "Oh, I wish I could go, but I just can't afford it." They're not directly asking you to pay, but they're subtly implying it, making you feel guilty for your ability to afford the trip. Manipulators use guilt tripping to control others, to make them feel indebted or obliged. It's a powerful tool because it plays on our desire to be good people, to avoid causing harm or discomfort to others. But remember, it's okay to say no. It's okay to prioritize your own feelings and needs. Don't let anyone use guilt to control your actions. Remember, your feelings matter too. The third trick on our list is playing the victim. This is a classic manipulation technique that often gets overlooked. The manipulator takes on the role of the victim, making themselves appear weak, helpless, or misunderstood. This is done to gain sympathy, divert attention from their actions, or make you feel guilty for something you have not done. Let's look at an example. Imagine a friend who constantly shares stories of how they've been wronged, hurt, or treated unfairly. They never take responsibility for their actions, and instead they manipulate the narrative to make themselves look like the victim. This can create a sense of obligation in you, making you feel like you need to support them, even when they're in the wrong. This ploy is subtle but powerful. It shifts the balance of power, making it easier for the manipulator to control the situation and the people around them. So, beware of those who always seem to be the victim. Our fourth trick is negative reinforcement. Let's dive into it. Negative reinforcement is a psychological strategy often employed by manipulators to control behavior. It's a bit of a misnomer, though. It's not about reinforcing negativity, but rather about removing an unpleasant stimulus when the desired behavior is exhibited. Here's how it works. The manipulator introduces an unpleasant situation or feeling. This could be anything from constant criticism to creating an uncomfortable environment. The individual subjected to this negativity naturally wants it to stop. The manipulator then promises to remove the unpleasantness, but only if certain behaviors are changed or certain actions are taken. Consider this example. A boss constantly nitpicks an employee's work, The employee seeking to avoid the criticism works harder, changes their approach, or does whatever the boss suggests. The criticism stops, reinforcing the new behavior. A classic case of negative reinforcement. Don't let others control your behavior through negativity. The fifth manipulation trick is fear tactics. This method is a masterstroke in the world of manipulation. It's about instilling fear in the other person to control their actions or decisions. The manipulator might generate a sense of dread, uncertainty, or anxiety, making the individual feel as if they are walking on thin ice. Let's illustrate this with an example. Imagine you have a colleague who constantly reminds you of the high unemployment rates, the tough job market, and the possibility of layoffs in your company. This person isn't just sharing concerns. They're instilling fear to manipulate you into working overtime, taking on extra tasks, or preventing you from seeking better opportunities. Fear tactics can be subtle, yet they have a significant impact on our choices. They can get us stuck in situations that are far from ideal. But remember, fear is a tool of the manipulator. Resist the influence of fear in your decision-making. Last but not least, our sixth trick is reciprocity. Now, reciprocity is a social norm where if I do something for you, you'll feel compelled to do something for me in return. It's a pretty common human behavior, but manipulators can take advantage of it. Imagine this. A colleague brings you a cup of coffee in the morning, unasked. You feel a sudden obligation to return the favor. Maybe you pick up their work slack or do them a favor that they ask for later. You may not even want to, but you feel obliged because of that cup of coffee. That's reciprocity in action. The manipulator gives something small, maybe even insignificant, only to ask for something much bigger in return. They've created a sense of indebtedness in you. It's a sneaky trick, and one that's used more often than you might think. So remember, always be cautious of those who give only to get. There you have it, thinkers, the 6 sneaky manipulation tricks. We've traveled through the murky waters of gaslighting, where reality itself becomes a plaything for the manipulator. We've delved into guilt tripping, a tactic that twists empathy into a tool of control. We've uncovered the manipulator's art of playing the victim, turning the tables of blame and responsibility. We've seen the potent power of negative reinforcement, a coercive method that uses unpleasantness to shape behavior. We've faced the chilling fear tactics, where the manipulator cultivates dread to command obedience. And finally, we've examined the subtle power of reciprocity, the societal norm that can be exploited to create a sense of obligation. These tricks are more common than most of us realize and can cause significant harm. Knowledge is power, so being aware of these manipulation tactics is the first step to protecting ourselves and others. Stay informed, stay aware, and as always, keep thinking.